Welcome to the neon nightmare, my earthly specimens. Are you ready to recall the 80s? Melvin here, your favorite intergalactic brain inspector, guiding you into a decade powered by neon lights, questionable synth music, and more hairspray than any ozone layer should legally withstand. Today's trivia covers everything from world events to weird gadgets, iconic TV, legendary music, and geopolitical tensions so thick even your shoulder pads couldn't protect you. So, grab your Walkman, adjust your leg warmers, and prepare to prove whether you're an Einstein or an extra from a low-budget 80s K-car commercial. Level 1. Let's start simple. Think of this as the trivia equivalent of blowing into a Nintendo cartridge. Who married Prince Charles in a televised ceremony watched by millions in 1981? Lady Diana Spencer, Princess Diana. What 1982 film featured a friendly alien who just wanted to phone home? E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Which music video channel launched on cable television on August 1st, 1981? MTV. What toy craze involved a colorful cube that required solving by matching faces? Rubik's Cube. Who released the best-selling album of all time, Thriller, in 1982? Michael Jackson. What wall, physically dividing a European city, famously fell in November 1989? The Berlin Wall. Which 1985 charity concert was held simultaneously in London and Philadelphia to raise money for Ethiopian famine relief? Live Aid. What arcade game featured a yellow circle eating dots and being chased by ghosts? Pac-Man. Who was the President of the United States for the majority of the 1980s? Ronald Reagan. What 1984 comedy film starred Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis as paranormal investigators? Ghostbusters. Which soft drink company famously tried to change its formula in 1985, resulting in a massive consumer backlash? Coca-Cola, New Coke. What was the name of the doll line featuring adoptable babies with soft bodies and vinyl heads that sparked riots in stores in 1983? Cabbage Patch Kids. You got it! I'll allow you to keep your Walkman privileges. Which nuclear power plant in Ukraine experienced a catastrophic explosion in 1986? Chernobyl. What fashion trend involved wearing layers of plastic bracelets, lace gloves, and crucifixes, inspired by a pop star? The Madonna look. What phrase did the character Clara Pella famously yell in Wendy's commercials starting in 1984? Where's the beef? Which Nintendo home console revitalized the video game industry in North America in 1985? The Nintendo Entertainment System, NES. What 1980s TV show featured a talking car named Kit? Knight Rider. Which athletic shoe brand launched the Just Do It campaign in 1988? Nike. What 1985 movie featured a DeLorean modified into a time machine? Back to the Future. Who became the first American woman in space in 1983? Sally Ride. What puzzle video game, created by Alexei Pajitnov, involves arranging falling blocks? Tetris. Which country hosted the 1980 Summer Olympics, which were boycotted by the US and many other nations? The Soviet Union. Moscow. What popular 1980s hairstyle involved cutting the hair short on the sides and leaving it long in the back? The mullet. Which singer had hits with Girls Just Want to Have Fun and Time After Time? Cyndi Lauper. What 1980s cartoon franchise featured colourful bears with symbols on their bellies? Care Bears. Level 2. All right, Earthlings, let's see if you can handle a little intellectual static. What was the name of the space shuttle that tragically exploded shortly after liftoff in 1986? Challenger. Which Prime Minister of the UK was known as the Iron Lady? Margaret Thatcher. What 1980s sitcom centered on the staff of a Boston bar where everybody knows your name? Cheers. In 1989, a massive student-led demonstration was crushed by the military in which Beijing square? Tiananmen Square. What was the first music video ever played on MTV? Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. Who shot John Lennon outside the Dakota apartment building in 1980? Mark David Chapman. What 1980 volcanic eruption in Washington state was the deadliest in US history? Mount St. Helens. Which Argentine soccer player scored the infamous Hand of God goal in the 1986 World Cup? Diego Maradona. Wrong. You clearly needed more glowworm as a child. What charitable supergroup recorded the song We Are the World in 1985? USA for Africa. Which computer company launched the Macintosh in 1984 with a famous Super Bowl commercial directed by Ridley Scott? Apple. Who directed the 1982 sci-fi classic Blade Runner? Ridley Scott. What was the name of the oil tanker that ran aground in Alaska in 1989, causing a massive environmental disaster? The Exxon Valdez. Which Irish rock band released the hit album The Joshua Tree in 1987? U2. What 1980s toy line featured vehicles that transformed into robots? Transformers. Who was the first woman appointed to the US Supreme Court in 1981? Sandra Day O'Connor. What was the name of the station wagon driving family in the National Lampoon's Vacation movies? The Griswolds. Which 1987 film contains the line, "Nobody puts baby in a corner"? Dirty Dancing. What illicit affair involving the sale of arms to Iran to fund rebels in Nicaragua rocked the Reagan administration? The Iran-Contra affair. Which city hosted the 1984 Summer Olympics, which were boycotted by the Soviet bloc? Los Angeles. What diet soda was introduced in 1982 and became the best-selling diet soft drink? Diet Coke. Who wrote the 1987 novel The Bonfire of the Vanities? Tom Wolfe. Which heavy metal band released the album Master of Puppets in 1986? Metallica. What widely popular 1980s aerobic exercise program was created by Jane Fonda? Jane Fonda's Workout. Which country fought a war with the United Kingdom over the Falkland Islands in 1982? Argentina. What was the name of the toddler who famously fell into a well in Texas in 1987, captivating the world for 58 hours? Baby Jessica, Jessica McClure. Level 3. This level is tougher than your gym teacher's moustache in 1983. Who directed the 1986 film Blue Velvet? David Lynch. In 1988, Pan Am Flight 103 was destroyed by a bomb over which Scottish town? Lockerbie. Who was the lead singer of the British band The Smiths? Morrissey. Which Major League Baseball team lost the 1986 World Series after a famous ground ball error by Bill Buckner. The Boston Red Sox. Who succeeded Leonid Brezhnev as the General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union in 1982? Yuri Andropov. What 1981 film was the first to feature the character Indiana Jones? Raiders of the Lost Ark. What year did the personal computer, PC, make the cover of Time magazine as Machine of the Year? (1982). Which artist created the iconic Crack is Whack mural in New York City in 1986? Keith Haring. Who founded the cable news network CNN in 1980? Ted Turner. What was the first commercial mobile phone released by Motorola in 1983, often called the Brick? Motorola Dynatac 8000X. Which 1980 film won the Academy Award for Best Picture at the ceremony held in 1981? Ordinary People. What specific date in October 1987 is known as Black Monday due to the global stock market crash? October 19th, 1987. Who was the captain of the 1980 Miracle on Ice US Olympic hockey team? Mike Eruzione. What was the name of the Greenpeace ship bombed by French intelligence agents in New Zealand in 1985? The Rainbow Warrior. Wrong! You'd lose to a Furby in a trivia match at this rate. Which Indian Prime Minister was assassinated by her own bodyguards in 1984? Indira Gandhi. What operating system did Microsoft release in November 1985? Windows 1.0. Who discovered the wreckage of the RMS Titanic in 1985? Robert Ballard. Which Swedish Prime Minister was assassinated on a Stockholm street in 1986? Olof Palme. Which Canadian athlete was stripped of his gold medal at the 1988 Olympics after testing positive for stanozolol? Ben Johnson. What Soviet space station was launched into orbit in 1986 and operated until 2001? Mir. Which 1983 TV movie about the aftermath of a nuclear war was watched by over 100 million Americans? The Day After. Who was the first American woman to perform a spacewalk in 1984? Catherine D. Sullivan. What company released the D50, the first portable CD player, often called the Discman, in 1984? Sony. What is the name of the fictional high school in the movie The Breakfast Club? Shermer High School. Which treaty, signed in 1987 by Reagan and Gorbachev, eliminated intermediate-range and shorter-range missiles? The INF Treaty. And that concludes this journey through the 1980s, the decade where everything from your hair to your global politics was overinflated. If you powered through this quiz like a true champ, excellent. If not, don't worry. Even the Rubik's Cube defeated millions of you. Tune in next time for more trivia and more of my compassionately delivered condescension. Thanks for playing, you radically average humans. Melvin, out! Go on, treat yourself and click another video. Or you can go back to watching cats fall off furniture.